Welcome to my channel, Random Annie's channel. I appreciate you guys being here. Welcome to my video of every film I saw in the month of April 2021. I want to just say thank you to my patrons, Matt Lane Fitness, Mark McKeever, and Longman8080 for supporting me on Patreon. If you are new here, I want to thank you for coming into the video and checking this out. And if you are not subscribed, just go ahead and check out my other channel for other content. And if you are a returning subscriber, I appreciate you being here as well. Let's get into the video of April 2021 of my first time watches. Up first is Boys Town with Mickey Rooney and Spencer Tracy. This is a really good film with a nice story of a young kid learning his ways in the world in an orphanage and just trying to fit in. It's probably one of my favorites from April. It's fantastic, and I highly recommend it. Up next is The Kid from Brooklyn with Danny Kaye. I'm a huge Danny Kaye fan, and I love The Court Jester and White Christmas. This film, it's good. It's not as good as I was hoping, but it was worth checking out. And then we have a very mysterious little fantasy film from 1958 with James Stewart called Bell, Book, and Candle. It's kind of interesting. There was some like witchcraft and whatever, and it was very unexpected from seeing James Stewart do something different from what he usually does. And then up next is a personal favorite of mine from the month of April. It's Nocturnal Animals with Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal. This movie is heart-pounding and fantastic from beginning to end. It's kind of intense with what goes on, and I highly recommend you checking this out. Going in blind, I won't say much about it because it is fantastic, and you guys should watch it. And then we have Peeping Tom from 1960. Kind of a classic. This is about a murderer who videos his killings and whatever, and he just mainly murders women, and it's fantastic. I highly recommend that as well. And then up next is we have Disney's The Apple Dumpling Gang. Not really a fan. It's okay. It's got Don Knotts from the Andy Griffith Show, and he's worth watching in it, but basically the whole movie, it just didn't do anything much for me. And then we have a interesting film called A Fish Called Wanda. It didn't really do anything for me either, but it was a little bit better than the Apple Dumpling Gang. So, and then up next is Godzilla vs. Kong. I saw this in IMAX twice. It was fantastic from beginning to end. I love Godzilla vs. Kong. In pure IMAX, that beginning with the credits, the opening credits scene, fantastic in IMAX. Oh my word. The music and the cinematography, everything in this film was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And then we have up next is The Accused. Kind of a hard movie to watch about a woman who goes through a case of proving who raped her and whatever, and I'd say the last 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes are hard to watch, and kind of probably you could easily fast forward it if you want, if it makes you uncomfortable. But I highly recommend this film, but that last 15 minutes is kind of a doozy to get through. And up next is Double Jeopardy with Tommy Lee Jones. Pretty great with his performance in this, but the rest of the movie, it's kind of with a murder going on and framing somebody else for it. It's just one of those cliche stories, but Tommy Lee Jones is pretty good in almost everything he's in. And then up next is a very confusing film called The Spirit, basically based off the same lines as Sin City, but this one had Scarlett Johansson and Samuel L. Jackson. This was a strange film. It was very strange, and I did not like it at all. It was very, very weird. And then we have Disney's Mars Needs Moms. I don't know why I watched this, but I always heard it was awful and probably one of the worst disasters of Disney's that they ever made. And it just was an atrocity. It just was bad. And then up next is we have Chris Rock's Head of State. It's kind of a cool little film, kind of playing off with the media and whatever, and politics, and making fun of it, and like going to show you like politics is not what it seems. And then we have Kazam. Not gonna say much about that. And then we have Mystic Pizza. It's an okay film. I would have preferred if it wasn't so slow and whatever, but Mystic Pizza. And then we have John Wayne's Big Jake. I've been watching a lot of John Wayne films lately. It's pretty good. This film, it's okay. Not as great as his other ones, but him in it, pretty good. But Big Jake, it's okay. And then we have the original, The Incredible Journey from Disney. I'm actually a big fan of Homeward Bound, the remake. I would say this movie is just worse. The remake is one of those times where the remake is so much better than the original. And then we have Vincent Price's House on Haunted Hill. This is pretty great. Classic Hollywood and classic horror and whatever. So good. I highly recommend this. And then we have another Danny Kaye film called A Song Is Born. I didn't like it as a kid in Brooklyn, but it was fine. And then we have Alfred Hitchcock's Young and Innocent. Most of his earlier work of Hitchcock's, he's okay. Ranges from okay to meh. But this was fine. It was fine. But it's got Alfred Hitchcock, so what can you do? And then we have a silent film and the original Pollyanna. I love Pollyanna. The remake from Disney is fantastic. This was with Mary Pickford, and she is fantastic in everything she does. And Pollyanna, this was good. Not as good as the remake, but still good. And then we have The Cheat, a silent film with D.W. Griffith. We have another film, Joan of Arc, The House of Ghosts, and The Electric Hotel, all silent films from George Méliès. And then we have a musical called Kismet. I kind of enjoyed this. It wasn't as good as I was hoping, but it was good for what it was. And then we have Charlie Chaplin's The Tramp. I don't know why it took me a while to watch these Charlie Chaplins with The Pawn Shop as well as Tango Tangles. But yeah, The Tramp, The Pawn Shop, and Tango Tangles. These are pretty great Charlie Chaplin silents. And then we have another silent film that is just top notch. It is called Strike. Basically about these employees who go on strike to get higher wages and whatnot. This film is fantastic. It is just heartbreaking and all that kind of stuff. It is fantastic. And then up next is Fred Astaire's The Gay Divorcee, one of his more iconic films. It's a pretty nice little musical and dance film with Ginger Rogers. It's really nice. And then we have Adam's Rib with Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy are in a lot of films together. And this one, it's good. Not as good as, like, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and all that kind of stuff. Just pretty great. And then last but not least is Mortal Kombat from HBO Max and in the theaters. I actually kind of decided to watch this on HBO Max. It was fine. It's better than the 90s version, but I was rather disappointed with how little fighting there was and all that kind of stuff. It was fine, but that was just... it was okay. And that was my first time watches of April 2021. If I want to thank you again. If you are new here, I appreciate you being here. And if you are a returning subscriber, I appreciate you as well. I want to thank you, my patrons from Patreon, Mark McKeever again, and Longme8080, and Matt Lane Fitness for supporting me there. If you want to support me there, go on, check the link, and you can check out all the tiers to support me on. Until next time, stay random, guys.